I just bought this junky flip house and it needs a full remodel. Also, there's a horrible smell coming from the attic. In this video, I'm going to tear apart the upstairs and rebuild it totally awesome. I want you to get a good look at it now because I'm about to start knocking holes in the drywall and tearing things out. When I say the house is junky, it has been fixed up. They just used the cheapest finishes and made everything gray. I'm going to start off by remodeling this main master bedroom, the walk-in closet, and the nook on the back of the house. This is the nook off the side of the master bedroom. We're going to start out by ripping everything out of here. I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to interior finishes. This trim is all brand new, but it's the absolute cheapest garbage that they could buy, and I just can't live with that. Not to mention, it's all painted gray, and modern design has ruined that color for me. This is pretty cool, guys. Found an old photo stuck here in the wall. Beginning of parade. Big brass, question, question, question. It's a little hard to see, but it looks to me like a 1950s era convertible, and it's going down the street. There's a bunch of people on both sides. I think I'm gonna get it blown up and print it, actually put it on the wall. Guys, it's a lot worse in here than I expected. This is all eaten up by termites, along with a good amount of this here. My header's completely ate up. I'm guessing the old roof was leaking, allowed this wood to get wet, and the termites were able to get in and start eating on it. Luckily, not all of it is rotten, and I'm super fortunate to find out the rest of the house is block. This is a limestone windowsill here. That seems like a nice detail to me. This is the sort of thing that I would have expected from an old house like this. I know by the shape of the house that there's a little cavity here, call it a little room, that exists behind this wall. So I did something really stupid and decided to cut myself a little access port so I could go in and insulate it. I totally forgot the fact that I was getting ready to rip out the entire other wall and could have just gone through there. Looking up here, you're going to see that this is a major culprit and that's why our attic will not stay cool. This is a little heat sensing camera from Lowe's, and something I haven't mentioned so far is that one of the reasons I'm doing this is because it's completely unlivable up here in the summer. Even with the AC on, it's way hotter than outside. As you can see here, guys, no insulation here, and of course, no insulation up here. The neighbor told me that he's seen 50 plus raccoons live in this house over the past 20 years. You can't smell hardly anything except for when you go in this closet. When it gets cool out, the smell goes away. But in the middle of the summer, when the attic starts to heat up, this ripe smell just starts to fill the closet. And at this point, I had absolutely no idea what was causing it. I used to work on a farm. I know what raccoon poo smells like, and it's not a good smell. I figured maybe there's just a little buildup somewhere. But nothing prepared me for what I was actually about to discover here. From the second I ripped out the first piece of drywall, the smell started to get much stronger. So I knew I was on the right trail.
I was searching for the bad smell, and I found it. Oh, it's disgusting. I don't even know what that's from.
Well, I can tell you I figured it out real fast. It was a dead raccoon. There was claw marks all around it. I don't know if he got poisoned or he just got trapped, but he'd been dead for a while. But as you just saw there, I just took a raccoon poo shower when that piece of drywall fell down. I had found the main source of the smell, but there was plenty of other artifacts left behind the raccoons for me to find. Got this room all demoed, getting ready to pull the carpet up. Pulling carpet is something that's actually within my realm of expertise. If you're new to the channel, we do a lot of hardwood floors as well as some commercial, LVP, pre-finished, etc. But let me be very clear, this is not a how-to video. I'm not claiming to be an expert at all of the work I'm doing here. I'm good at the flooring. The rest of the stuff I'm still learning. I do have some experience in framing and other types of construction. So I'm sure a lot of you watching this will have knowledge that I don't know. So I actually appreciate your feedback. Give me some pointers on what I could do to be faster or do a better job down in the comments. That would be great. So we've got all our demo work done. You can see this wall here is completely torn out. We walk over here into this dormer. I've gutted the entire thing. In the closet where the raccoon was, I gutted everything. What I'm about to do now is going to cost me a little bit of square footage in my room, but I figure it's worth it to get some insulation into these walls. So I'm actually framing in a 2x4 wall simply to hold some R13 insulation. Got it all framed up in the closet. Put in another wall to hold insulation. You can see I replaced a ton of the framing here and sistered up to some of the studs on the left-hand side. The wall was super crooked and I had to fix that. If you look closely at all of these crossbars here, there is a buildup of raccoon poop on them. That is what this is on the bottom and across the top. I'm doing R19 in all the 2x6 rafter bays, and I'm doing R13 in all of the walls. I know this looks real bad, but it's being reused. And the spacing on my rafters is a little bit off. So we use some duct tape in there. We're gonna add some foam board later to get this thing keeping the heat out. In my next total brain fart move, I insulated this wall between me and the bathroom. I sprayed some fire stop foam in some of the gaps in the old framing, and then I extracted a load of raccoon urine soaked, eaten up attic garbage. I wanted to clean the attic out really well before I sealed it up because that just makes me feel better, and I think how you do anything is how you do everything. I then installed some foam board to keep the hot air from flowing through my joist cavities. Next foolish mistake was installing the attic insulation upside down. I had already closed up the wall before I realized this, so I actually crawled in behind the knee wall and flipped it all. So I'm now working on the wall between my bedroom and my closet. This wall here leads straight up into the attic. And it was open before. That's how we had Mr. Raccoon come down inside and die. I put some fire blocking in here so that that never happens again. We've got the backer ledge screwed on. So here we are. Our foam is all dried up. And if you look at my frame here, you can see it didn't push out, which I'm happy to see. Over here, you can see the foam did fall down on me. I would have loved to fill it up just a little more, but I already used 3 cans on this thing. Let's take a look at the closet. Got our added wall here all done up with R13, R19 on everything else. Next was adding R3 foam board over everything. I know using this R13 fiberglass insulation is not the best way to keep my attic cool, but I'm trying to do this remodel on a budget. R15 is way more money, which is weird to me, and spray foam is probably like 5 times as much money. And I'm also kind of scared of the negative health effects that we might find out about spray foam down the road. I put some of this foam board up with tar paper roofing style nails with the plastic cap, but that didn't work very well because they weren't quite long enough, so I ended up getting big washers and just using screws. All our drywall is up. Let's do a walkthrough. Our closet here is sealed up, ready for plaster. You can see we've got all our drywall up here. See inside our closet here. You can see we did our ends in drywall. This is gonna get tongue and groove pine all over it. Let's take a look at this drywall I put on the ceiling. My word, it looks bad. Man alive, is there gonna be some mud on this thing. This is 10-inch white pine tongue and groove. I was able to get it real cheap from a discount supplier. It was like $1 a square foot. I'm not doing any baseboard in this room, so I had to scribe the bottom run to the floor. When you guys see what I'm going to do to this, I'm sure you're going to be mad at me, but I hate drywall. I wanted another texture on the walls in this room, and I felt like these planks were very true to the original Cape Cod style homes. Got all the pine up. There's an amazing, sweet smell of white pine when you walk in. Too bad I'm painting it and it's gonna go away. Let's check out the closet. This was an extreme test of my patience to get all this wood up in here. So you heard me say I am painting it. I'm not painting the stuff in the closet though. That's actually going to stay raw. Think of it like a poor man's cedar closet. So in the closet, I used a natural wood filler and sanded it off, and in the front room, I used white caulk. The next step was sanding the texture off the ceiling with this handy-dandy Harbor Freight drywall sander and mudding up the rest of the project. I decided to do drywall mud here instead of plaster. I plastered some other areas with plaster of Paris, and my word, that stuff was hard to work with. It dries in like 2 minutes, so it's impossible to get any type of nice finish on it. This is my first time really doing any substantial amount of drywall, and I can see why the guys who do it look so rough. Big respect to them, but also, man, I would get another career. I have kind of a rough plaster job on the rest of the walls in this room, so I'm trying to match that with my drywall texture. My process is real simple. Trowel on a really thin layer of mud, then take the spaghetti roller and the sponge, go over all of it, putting a bit of texture on it. Then take the trowel again and just lightly knock the whole thing down smooth. I was actually super happy with how this part turned out. It was finally starting to feel like I might finish the project. I cut in my holes for the can lights, and then I moved on to trimming out my windows, which was actually something I was looking forward to. Check it out. I should have made those sills continuous, but hey, live and learn. I can tell you that every part of this process took me probably 3 or 4 times longer than I thought. The amount of time it took to sand, prep, and paint everything was absurd for what's really just one room, one closet, and a little nook. Gave me a lot of respect for the other trades. It's easy to think, oh, the painter's job is easy. The drywall guy's easy. That doesn't take any skill. They all take a lot of skill. And to do a nice job, a lot of this work is just really monotonous. I think there's this misconception for people who go fix their houses up that, oh, they just love to do it. I can tell you, I love what it looks like when it's done. I love certain parts of the process, but most of it is hard, grueling work. The colors we started off painting with, we ended up changing a little bit. My wife had a certain vision she was going for with this, and I really liked it, but it just wasn't quite right. It looked like the Miami Dolphins locker room, but the end colors were still super bright and vibrant. And I know I'll get a ton of hate for this in the comments, but real question for you. When you were a kid, was your favorite color white or gray or whatever color that your house is probably painted? I highly doubt it. I bet you liked red or green or pink or yellow. I know I did. I believe that colorful, bright spaces help us to feel happier. And so does natural wood. So my floors are going to be a natural white oak in what's known as a log cabin pattern. But I'm just going to straight lay the nook. That's because my take on designs and floors are that you shouldn't overdo it. This is not some royal palace in Europe, all right? This is a simple craftsman home. But I am going to add a turnboard at each end. This is a little detail that I've discovered over the years in doing hardwood floors, and I love it. It's just a hair of a detail. It wouldn't even catch most people's eyes. But in my opinion, it's those little details that really take a project from being average to being exceptional. I've actually never seen this done on any job sites except my own. But I had a customer that had a wall moved and needed all the boards to be a little bit longer. So instead of adding on to every board, we just cut a board in at the end of the floor like this. And I loved how it looked, so I'm doing it in my own house. If you notice the grain pattern, this is actually a rifting quarter saw on white oak. And that's for 2 reasons. Reason 1 is that I love the patterns in it. And reason two is that it doesn't expand and contract nearly as much. And I'm sure you noticed in the nook, I installed tight against the baseboards. That could cause problems with another type of wood, but this stuff barely moves and it will be totally fine. The brown wood filler is meant to just blend in, but this black wood filler is for knots. If you put brown wood filler in knots, it doesn't blend because knots are usually very dark brown or black. Putting a light brown wood filler in the knots looks horrific. We're going to use Burger Sidla's base oil in clear, which is just like a natural finish. So this is a penetrating finish. That means that none of it is supposed to sit on the surface. So I'm going to rag it on real thick. I want it to be nice and heavy. And then I'm going to let it sit for about half an hour. And once it's absorbed into the wood, I'm going to pull the buffer back onto it and I'm going to buff off any excess that I can. I'm going to do this process twice with about 1 day in between. For the baseboards, I have my own design. It's going to start with a piece of 4-inch poplar, just square and painted. And then I'm putting a custom cap on it, but I'm not going to show you it until the end. I wanted to keep it really simple and fast in the closet, so I got some 3/4-inch pipe. I sanded it down, painted it black, and I used that for all of my closet bar. Now this is being mounted into the wall and not to the shelf above, so I hope it can handle the weight. Only time will tell, I guess. I wanted an authentic old pine door for this house, so I went to a local antique shop that sells reclaimed goods, and I got this old 5-panel pine door. The current latch on it was way too low, so I had to move the latch up. I actually had to buy a separate door and steal a little bit of pine off of it to make it about 2 inches longer, and then I refinished it. I started off just sanding, but I soon realized that was going to take forever. So I got some paint stripper out there, which I've never used before. I am a floor refinisher, so I've always used sanders for everything. It worked totally awesome and was way more satisfying than I ever expected it to be. I still had to break out the sander to get the last bit off, get it real smooth, and to get down in the details, which was way harder than I expected. We used a ton of paper, and this process, I'm not even kidding when I say this, I probably spent 40 hours on this door. It was way too much. Again, using Burger Sidla's base oil, and the reason I use this so much is because I love penetrating finishes, and this one is like a vegetable oil base, so it's very healthy to be around, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. It's been about 4 months since I started this project, but we're completely done. I put pendant lights by both sides of the bed with a switch and an outlet. We've got matching nightstands to the floor. We repainted everything with a darker blue and a bit more of a peachy orange color. And my wife had the awesome idea to paint a rainbow on our arch. I absolutely love it, but if you didn't like the wall colors, I would guess you probably don't like the rainbow either. I did 2 4-inch dimmable can lights in the nook, and I just did 1 light fixture to replace what was there in the main bedroom. We opted for carpet in the closet, and I did 3-inch black can lights on a gimbal so that I could make them shine straight down. I finished my baseboards off with a rift and quarter sawn white oak cap, and I got a retro heat vent to go with it. Please subscribe, guys. I'll have more videos like this coming out.